Lockout, tagout. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about terminology, different energy sources, the energy control procedures and equipment, the 3 stages of lockout: preparation, lockout, and restoring energy, special circumstances. This is multiple people locking out a large piece of equipment, shift changes, emergency lock removal, and contractors. What is lockout, tagout? Well, it's a procedure used by authorized personnel to ensure that the energy controls are kept in an off and safe position during maintenance and servicing type work. Authorized employees are employees who are trained and authorized to perform the required work and know how to lock out and control energy sources. Generally, this is work related to service, maintenance, and construction-related things. Affected employees are employees who do not use lockout, tagout, but work in an area where equipment may include locks and tags on energy control devices. Our critical safety rule that applies to both authorized and affected employees is the person who applied the lock is the only person allowed to remove the lock. There are lots of different energy sources. You have electrical sources, you have mechanical sources such as moving parts, springs. You have pneumatic and gas sources such as compressed air. You have hydraulic sources, thermal, you have heat and cold sources, chemical sources such as acids, bases, and solvents, and you have stored energy. That's energy that's stored even after the control device is locked out. Stored energy. Stored energy could be things like charged electrical capacitors, where after the power is turned off, they maintain a charge for a period of time. You have compressed springs and torsion bars that even after a machine is maybe turned off, you still have things that are under force. Hot machine parts, pressurized pipes and lines, things like air pressure from airlines or hydraulic lines that could still be under pressure. And you have machine parts that can catch and slide if something fails. And many others that are not listed. The key is you always want to check equipment to verify that all the stored energy has been rendered safe before starting your work. We maintain a written energy control procedure for all equipment in our facility. The only exception to this would be like a single power source machine, something that had a disconnect right at it, or it had a switch right at it where you could turn it off, and while you performed the work, you were in 100% control of the energy for that. Some machines you can simply unplug. As long as the plug is in your possession, you'd be okay to work on it. But if the plug was on the other side of the plant from a long extension cord or something, and you unplugged it and you weren't in control of that plug, you would still need to lock out the machine, the electrical source or whatever it was. The energy control procedure lists the following: the type of energy and the magnitude, and the location where you would go to turn the power off for this device. Keep in mind, with large plants and equipment, the panel box or the actual place where you can actually isolate the power may be pretty far away from the machine where you're working. The energy control procedure should also be consulted before locking out to ensure that you haven't missed anything. We review these with periodic inspections. They're performed annually. We review all the energy control procedures. We revise energy control procedures when things have changed or when new pieces of equipment or things are added to equipment. And we conduct retraining on the energy control procedures when revisions have been made. Lots of different ways for controlling power. Our facility has standard locks and tags, and only the locks and tags supplied by our company should be used. Just tagging something and not locking it is only allowed if that energy control device is not capable of being locked. Lockout locks are provided with only one key. Never lend your lock or your key to somebody else. And never use your lock that are designed for lockouts for other purposes like locking your toolbox. And there's specialized lockout equipment available in our facility to lock out things such as handles and tees and plugs and things that can't be locked with a standard padlock. The first thing you want to do is prepare for a lockout, and to prepare for it you want to review the energy control procedure for that piece of equipment. Keep in mind some pieces of equipment are very complex. They may have various sources of energy, so you want to review the procedure. The procedure for all hardware needed should be contained on that. So if you need 5 locks and you need 2 T-handle locks and a plug lock, it should be listed. You want to fill out all the information on your tags, and you want to notify the owner or the operator of the equipment that you're going to lock it out. Let them know ahead of time. And then you want to barricade the work area to ensure your safety. The lockout sequence is pretty straightforward. You shut down the equipment with normal operating procedures. However you would normally just turn it off that way. You want to lock and tag each energy control device in an off position. And the tags must be as close as possible to the locking device. Once you've locked it out, you want to release all the stored energy. This would include discharging any capacitors that you're going to be working on, or any springs that are holding back mechanical forces, or releasing the air pressure from the lines. For lockout, tagout on air, that can be difficult, but it should be done with a dump valve or somehow bleeding off the air so that there's no pressure on the lines. You want to verify proper lockout by attempting to restart the machine. Be sure that all personnel clear the machine when you do this, and really this is the most critical part of the lockout procedure. There have been many accidents where somebody went to a remote part of the plant, something was mislabeled, they thought they had locked out the machine, they came back, started to work on it, only to find out that it was still energized. You always want to test and verify that the machine is locked out. You can do this by trying to restart the machine, using a voltage meter to check your volts on circuits and things like that to ensure there's no power. And then you want to return the operating controls to the off or safe position before you start your work. Once you've finished your work, you have to restore the energy to the machine. You want to inspect it, be sure all your tools and parts have been put away, replace any guards, and restore the machine controls. Notify the owner and others that you're about to start it up. Remove your locks and tags. Test the operation to make sure the equipment is working properly, and then release it back to the operator owners. Sometimes we have situations where we're going to be locking out a piece of equipment that has a lot of different energy sources. You could have 3 or 4 disconnects for a piece of equipment. You could have hydraulic systems that are powering a piece of the equipment. You could have several airlines come into the equipment, powering different parts of it. When this is going to happen, typically you use a lockbox. A lockbox is a box that can be locked up that has multiple padlocks in it, possibly pressure, things to lock out valves and knobs. And those locks are used to lock out the equipment. And then if you've got multiple people, 3, 4, 5, or let's even say 6 people that are going to be working on this machine, once everything is locked out, all the keys for the individual locks that have been used to lock everything are put into the lockbox. The lockbox is closed, and a clasp, like you see on the left-hand part of the screen, is applied to the box, and then everybody puts their individual lock on that, so that it would take all 5 or 6 people to unlock that box to access the keys to unlock the machine. This is a critical procedure when multiple people are involved. Several situations need a little special attention, shift change or reassignments. The offgoing employee needs to review the job with the oncoming employee. The offgoing employee will remove his lock from the machine, while at the same time, as soon as that happens, the ongoing employee will apply his locks and tags to the machine, and then the oncoming employee will verify that everything is off. Never trust somebody else's lockout. It's not uncommon for a job to start, somebody lock it out, they get most of the way through the procedure, they didn't actually try it, the next shift comes on, they switch out locks, and nobody's tested it. So when you come on, if you're replacing your lock with somebody else's, verify that the machine will not operate. Sometimes people go home and forget their locks on equipment. In the event that a lock has to be removed and an employee cannot be contacted, the following procedure must be followed. The decision to remove the lock must be made by a member of management. Every effort must be made to contact the employee, including calling him or her at home. A member of management will meet with that employee at the very beginning of the next scheduled work shift, and the cutoff lock will be left with a note on the employee's bench or toolbox. When you're working with contractors, they are required to have a program equivalent to ours. Contractor personnel will be made aware of our procedures, locks and tags, and all of our facility personnel who work with contractors will be made aware of the contractor procedures, locks and tags. Any problem that you observe should be immediately brought to the attention of the program administrator. In summary, locks and tags are always used in our facility except when an energy control device cannot accept a lock. Only facility assigned locks and tags are to be used. Always check the energy control procedures prior to performing a lockout tagout. Never forget to check for stored energy. Communicate with all personnel who are affected by the job. Always try to restart the equipment after you've locked it out to ensure that you have properly locked it out. Each employee working on the job must have his or her lock on each energy control device. Never risk accidental energy restoration. Lock it out. This is a serious violation of our safety rules. If you should need more information on lockout, tagout, or if you need assistance with specific equipment-related procedures for locking and tagging out your equipment, contact Applied Risk Solutions. We'll be more than happy to help you with your needs. Thanks.